Welcome to part 3 of Mandarin Blueprint series on Chinese word structure. Now, we've already covered the verb what structure in the previous video. That was words like 吃饭 or 睡觉 or 说话, where you have a verb first followed by some type of object or noun, and the question is, what is the verb doing to the noun? Now, this one is called the verb how structure. This is one of my favorite structures. It's a very interesting thing you can do with Chinese, which is where you have an action first, like 说, followed by a result. And it's important to know this because sometimes you see something like bright or clear, 明, right? And you might not realize that this is a result in the word itself. So you see speak clear, you might think enunciate, right? Speak clearly, enunciate, articulate yourself, right? But it doesn't mean that because 明 is a result. So let's try to think of it that way. What does it mean if the result is bright clarity of your speech? Well, 说明, to explain. That's exactly what explaining is, isn't it? It's when you speak to the point where something is clear. And if you haven't spoken to the point where something is clear, then you haven't explained very well. Chinese does this all the time, where the word itself can be enlightening to what the concept is in the first place. So let's look at some more verb how structures. So the first character here is 长. 长. This means to grow. And grow until the result is that you become big. So this means to grow up, as in growing up from being a child, right? And so this is a great word. There's a lot of different words that start with 长 and end with the results. So here's a really common one that comes up, 长长. That's actually the same exact character, just pronounced differently. When this character, the first one here that's pronounced 长, when it's pronounced 长, it means long. So if something were to 长长, then it has grown to be long. It has grown long, or in this case, 长大, grow up. 放下. 放 means to release, and 下 means down. So if you've released something so that it's down, pretty simple. It's just to put something down. So you can bear that in mind moving forward. That's a highly useful way of thinking of this. You go, oh, it's just such a simple idea. You take the thing, you release it, and the result is it's down, put something down. Now, there's a lot of different directional complements in Chinese. 过来 or 过去, 上来上去, 下来下去. These all mean variations of come over, go up, come up, go down, come down. And really, the 来 and 去 in these are results. So the verb here is 过, to cross, with the result being that you've come over. So this just means come here. 过来, 过来. And that is helpful in understanding this particular structure because it's easy to see 来 as a verb meaning to come or 去 as a verb meaning to go. But in this context, they're more the result. And it's always from the speaker's perspective. This one's pretty easy. 起, to rise, with the result of flight. 飞, well, that means to take off. So you'll hear that a lot on airplanes. You'll hear 飞机即将起飞. So 飞机 means plane. 即将 is a kind of formal way of saying about to, and then 起飞. So the next time you're on a plane heading to China or in China, listen out for that. You might have a chance to hear it. And I'm recording this at a time when there's not many planes into China happening, but we can always hope for the future. 提高, 提高, to raise, with the result of height, or the result of it being high. Well, that means to increase or to improve. And so both of these are verb result ideas. One thing that comes up all the time and is a great example for this is the different ways that you can use 吃, meaning to eat. So we talked about 吃饭 in the previous lesson, which is verb what structure. But when you're talking to somebody about how you ate something, there's a bunch of different things you could say. You could say 吃好, 吃好了, meaning I've finished eating and I'm good to go. It's a very polite way of saying I have eaten and I'm good. So the result of eating is good. There's 吃饱. This is a little bit more This is the type of thing you'd say with your friends, maybe. It's kind of like, oh, I'm stuffed. I'm really full. I'm ball. Doesn't ball feel like the perfect word for full? I'm like ball, right? Yeah, so 吃 with the result of ball. You wouldn't want to say that in polite company necessarily. Like if you're at your, in-laws, you wouldn't want to say 吃饱, but you could just say 吃好in that point. You could say 吃掉, 吃掉, which means to eat something entirely. Like, so if there was a hot dog, technically you've eaten it if you took a bite, but if you ate the whole thing and none of it is left, you could say 吃掉. And this is another example of a verb plus a result. So with that in mind, that's how you can consider the verb what and the verb how structures, and we'll get into the next type of compound word in part 4.